Hey everybody, Pastor Vance with a devotional for you today, February 8th, 2022. Today's readings were Matthew chapter 13, verse 24 to 43, Acts 19, verse 1 to 22, Psalm 31, and Exodus 21 to 23. You know, the Psalm of David today has so much in it. There's so many lines in the Psalm that I love and so much that I could say about it. But and this is true of a lot of psalms. What really stuck out to me were the feelings that David expresses. Um, he says things like, I'm in distress. I'm dying from grief. Sin has drained my strength. I'm scorned by enemies. It's this line particularly that really stuck out to me. Tears blur my eyes. He's clearly in a state of pain, of anguish. He's got difficult things going on in his life. And sometimes that word blur is the right word. And we're not just physically, we know, for crying. If you're weeping, you can't see as well. The tears blur your eyes. But the pain and emotions that we feel inside also blur our sight. Not physically, but spiritually and emotionally. Those tears blur our eyes. They keep us from seeing things the way they really are. They keep us from understanding what's true or not. And so it's not just tears, it's any emotion. You get angry, and that anger blurs your eyes. It causes you to see things that aren't there and be upset at things that aren't real. The pain blurs your eyes and causes you to feel even more of things that shouldn't be as painful as they are. Grief, worry, depression, fear, all these things can blur our eyes. They blur our sight. They blur, to use another sense, our hearing, because then we can't hear. We don't see God. We don't hear him. Eventually David, he says to here, in panic I cry out, I am cut off from the Lord. As if God isn't there. His eyes are blurred from seeing the presence and power of God in his life. If I'm going through this pain, if this problem happens to me, if I get to go through this heartache, then God must not be there. And if he's real, then he's not here with me. But what we feel isn't real. What we see through the blurriness of our sin-stained vision isn't always reality. I'm cut off from the Lord, but you heard my cry for mercy, and you answered my call for help. God was there. He says that's in verse 22. In verse 14, he said, in spite of all this, I can't see. David saying, I can't see my future. He knows the promises of God. He doesn't see a pathway to it. And he says, but I'm trusting in you. I'm saying you're my God. That's ultimately what it comes down to. Your vision's never going to be great. It's always going to be blurry because the pains and problems of life do that. Because our struggles keep us from really being able to see what's real and not real. Our pains, our problems, our angers, even our joys. The good can do the same thing. It doesn't just have to be the bad things that blur our vision. The good things blur our vision. They make us think, something good's going on in my life. I'm in God's favor. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing when that isn't necessarily the case. I'm trusting in God, where my time my future is in your hands. Rescue me from his enemies. Let your favor shine upon me. In your unfailing love, rescue me. David recognizes that he's not in charge of what happens. He's not in control. But what's important to recognize is that your pain is in control. Your tears aren't in control. Your fear shouldn't be in control. None of those things are in control of your life either. Yet you let them control you. You let them take over you. Come quickly to my rescue is the cry. That's the prayer that David has. And some of you are praying today for that. You are begging God to come and rescue. And you're tired of waiting. You want it to happen now. Come quickly. And you may not be able to see a way out. The problems may be too great right now. The tears may be too many. They flooded your eyesight. But you can't live based on what you see. You cannot live based on what you feel. You definitely can't make your decisions about your future based on those things. You make your decisions about who you are and what you'll do based on what God reveals, on what God shows you, on the path that He lays before you. Because your future is not in your control. And your life is not in the control and shouldn't be in the control of your pains and fears, your problems, or your griefs, or any of that either. Your time is in God's hands. So trust in Him. Trust in His unfailing love. Trust that even when you can't see Him, even when you think your life has been cut off from Him, that He still hears you, that He's still there, and that He always will be. No matter how great your tears are today, no matter how blurred your vision may be from them, He's there to wipe those away and to give you a hope and a future. Trust in Him, trust in what He reveals to you, and follow in His path today.